Okay, quickly going to go over some tips for identifying momentum and how to trade momentum. I'm going to go over a trade that we made yesterday on Weight Watchers. So the first things that you want to do, you're obviously not going to know what's going to have momentum intraday before the market opens. You could have some clues, you could have some ideas, but you're not going to exactly know which stocks are going to have momentum. And one thing I usually do is I'll go through the briefing every morning. This will give you all your earnings. Go to your earnings calendars. You have to set up an account. It's free though, and just to kind of see what numbers reported. And I noticed yesterday that obviously Weight Watchers had reported 39 cents versus a 29-cent estimate. So it was a pretty big beat, relatively speaking. Revenues were down, but the stock's been beat up. So another thing you can do, now I know you can go to FinViz. I usually use Yahoo Finance to see a stock short interest. Now we know Weight Watchers has huge short interest, right? So I know that there was two different numbers on Yahoo Finance and FinViz for Weight Watchers, but regardless, you're showing the short percentage of the float at 75%. So anything over 30% can squeeze. Okay, anything the closer to 50 you get, the better. It shows right here 75% of the float is short. And that was not that could be off after the Oprah announcement. But basically on WTW, what we have here, and this is this is kind of a rookie trader's nightmare, some of these stocks like this. What you have is a really nice bull flag, and I say really nice. So before yesterday, we're just talking about this section of the chart right here, because before Friday, all you had was this right here. Huge volume, squeeze, okay, and then stair step down and volume consolidation. And then an earnings report, okay, with a big beat. So you got a catalyst. So that's the first thing that you want. We have high short interest, which is definitely not required, but if you have high short interest, that helps build into your hypothesis that this is going to go up, okay? So I'm going to give you some basic tips for trading momentum right now. Your day chart's set up with no resistance, which is what we always want on a long. We want there to be no resistance ahead, because you can never assume, I don't care how much volume you have, you can never assume that resistance is going to break. And vice versa, you can be shorting momentum as well. And you can never assume that support is going to break. So this chart right here, in between these blue lines, the dark blue lines are my trigger lines, and the light dotted blue lines are my resistance, okay? So you can see we've got a lot of room here above this high of 2154 to about 2440. Now once that 2154 level goes off, if it pulls back under, if it's flagging for another move up, you can always go retest and easily break those levels. But nonetheless, you've got your day chart set up, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a bull flag set up like this. It doesn't have to have the high short interest like this. It doesn't necessarily have to be, it could be all-time highs. For example, it could be a chart that's in a channel, that's a ascending channel that's breaking way up to the upside. It could be a chart that's been ranging sideways that's hitting a new relative high. So they're all different ways, different charts. I'm just giving you a particular example of what we traded. Now, how you can easily identify momentum, and this is not happening just because of the gap. There's several of these stocks that have momentum, and they have momentum, and they don't gap, okay? But all you have to do to identify the momentum and the buying pressure intraday, very simple tip here, is if you look at your volume and pull back 5 or 10 days of volume, all right? So we're looking at yesterday. Now, this was the second day, actually, of the announcement that Oprah had a stake. But now look at your volume between then, right here, each one of these lines where it's a dark gray, little gray pattern, and then black, and then gray, that represents 1 day of price action. I'm on a 5-minute channel. Now I don't get a calculator out and figure out, okay, well I'm trading at, I'm trading at 6 times average 50-day volume. I don't do that. All I do is I just pull it out and make sure that I'm trading heavy volume. Why? because then you know that you're going to have that herd mentality, so to speak. Everybody's jumping on it. Now, after you have that, what you want to do is identify specific setups. Okay. Now, the setup that I traded yesterday, setup that we traded yesterday was a little break. We took a stab at this twice. Okay, the first time, 2150. All right, right here, and you see how this stock was flatlining right here around 2150. Well, we were buyers here. As soon as it got up with a stop here below that's as tight as that, and then we were selling up here the first time. All right, so I bought 1,000 shares. We got volume. I bought 2,000 shares once we broke this little high right here, which was 2170. You can see right here, as soon as you hit 2171, looks what happens. So we added 2171, and then we were selling 2220. Now 50 cents on 2,000 shares, that's $1,000. Now we didn't sell 2220 exactly the whole time, but we were unloading from there. And again, our first buy wasn't 2271. Our first buy was the break of 2150 right here, 2150 break. Why? Because it was ranging. This gives us a setup, so you can see you put a stop here and you're buying on the break. This gives you a tight risk with a big reward, right? So you're risking this, and again, as soon as you break the high, so you can never assume that you're just going to break the high and run. Now this ended up doing that later, and we'll get to another setup here in a second. But again, so the day chart was set up. It had news. It has high relative volume. It was ranging tightly. And there were just so many ways you could have made money on this. So 2150 becomes a level right here. And you can see it rips, breaks this high. We sold right here. It pulls back all the way back to 2150. And then gives you another setup right here. This is a flat top breakout, depending on what you want to call it. Right here, where again, another area where it's just like this. It's just flat. And again, because you have that high relative volume, because you don't have any resistance ahead, you can take these setups. So it gives you a flat top. Again, super tight stop. You could keep a super tight stop here. Gives you a flat top, huge break right here. Now, we did not take this second trade. We took a stab on this again, going to the close. Which was right here when it kind of, again, another area where it got flat. As soon as it got above 23.20 was actually the level we played. And again, we were playing this for a huge rip to the upside. Now, I still made $200 on the final trade, even though it didn't work out, because you can see right here, you have a lot of resistance at 23.50. And as soon as it broke 23.21, I got long with the stop, 22.99. And it got up here, and there were some massive offers that showed up, and then it looked like they were going to slam it back down. So I took half off the table, and I would have bought it back as soon as we broke 23.50. Took half off the table. They looked like they were still going to slam it down. We started putting in a couple lower low bars right here, and so I blew out of the position. Again, still made 10 cents on it, which is not what we're trying to make, but the stock completely reverses and goes down. But again, as long as you're making a little bit of money, who cares? All right, another way you could have played this yesterday, which I was just nervous to play this. There was still a breakout off 20, and you can see you had some pre-market support at 20, which is actually the level we went over to buy it. And my skirt was just too tight in the morning to buy at 20, but nice dip down to 20 and a huge rip off pre-market support. But again, look for those flag setups, those flat top setups. So even here, right here, you can say flat top setup right here, boom, right? That flat top that we played, boom. Breaking this flat area right here, boom. And this is on a 1 minute chart. You can play 5 minute flags. They're going to look a little different. It just all is on what you're comfortable. We're going to talk about buy cycle and sell cycle setups on Monday. We're doing a webinar at lunch. So hopefully we will see you in the room for the webinar. But remember, everything goes into the trade, and the main thing that goes into the trade is what are you risking versus what can you get. That's the main thing. And then also remember, once you're up, to start protecting those positions. So Hope everybody's having a good weekend. Enjoy some football today. And if you have any questions, email me, help@tradewithkavin.com.